All right, now I'm here on it everywhere. We are doing the thing again, my son's construction paper that he cuts up. Okay, as you guys know, I have been banned from YouTube until next Wednesday. I am in the process of serving my 7 days, so you're seeing a different type of live stream from me. Obviously, we're here on Instagram. Over here, we are on Twitter or X, Facebook, and the Thinktown USA YouTube page, not the Legally Armed America YouTube channel because, again, banned for 7 days. We are going to do this quickly. Hopefully everybody can take this video and share this later with our glee and happiness all captured at a live moment when we're all happy. Very few times, as I state on this channel, do we have legitimate good news. This is encouraging news to me because at least we can see that the Supreme Court is not as politicized as every other court is in the nation. And as we're seeing our justice system completely corrupted, I have to say that from a 6-3 decision, which guess who the three are, but a 6-3 decision stating that bump stocks are not, in fact, machine guns. Did we already know this? Of course we did. We knew that simply having a bump stock, whether it were on or off of a firearm, did not make that bump stock a machine gun, and it certainly did not make the firearm that it might then be attached to as a machine gun either. Well, let's just say that the play on words is not a secret anymore. So that's what they've been trying to do. The far left has for a very long time now, is use words to describe something that is clearly, I mean, they could call this a machine gun just because if you used it and it increased the rate of fire, somehow that made something a machine gun. Just stupidity. And again, we all know that. It's simple logic that they've been twisting and utilizing to try to use and weaponize the ATF and the Department of Justice in general. Supreme Court has ruled today, guys. And thankfully, I think Clarence Thomas delivered the opinion. I'm not going to read all of it to you because I want to make this video short, and I want you guys to share this video if you possibly can on whatever platform that you can. I want to get to the meat and potatoes, and this, again, is all stuff we already knew. This is in writing now from the highest court in the land. This is not a small thing. This is likely never to come up again. This is dealt with, right? Okay, let me read you. This is on page 6 of the opinion. Section 5845B defines a machine gun as any weapon capable of firing automatically more than one shot by a single function of the trigger. We hold that a semi-automatic rifle equipped with a bump stock is not a machine gun because it cannot fire more than one shot by a single function of the trigger. And even if it could, it would not do so, quote, automatically. ATF therefore exceeded its statutory authority by issuing a rule that classifies bump stocks as machine guns. So if the ATF and the Department of Justice wants to play with words, the Supreme Court is saying not here, right? 1 second, guys. And you guys know my son has special needs. He wants to come inside. Come in. Hey, buddy, you're going to have to keep it down. Can you sit over there for a minute? Thank you, little man. Okay, now you may hear some background noise from my son. I do apologize, but he is the light of my life, and I am perfectly okay with that, and I hope you guys will accept that as well. Okay, moving on to page, this is actually number 2, page 2. This is a good paragraph. I love this paragraph, and I love the way Clarence Thomas writes his stuff. His opinions to me are bulletproof. ATF argues that a shooter using a bump stock must pull the trigger only one time to initiate a bump firing sequence of multiple shots. That's where they're getting themselves in trouble. This initial trigger pull sets off a sequence, fire, recoil, bump, fire, that allows the weapon to continue firing without additional physical manipulation of the trigger by the shooter. This argument rests on the mistaken premise that there is a difference between the shooter flexing his finger to pull the trigger and pushing the firearm forward to bump the trigger against its stationary trigger. As you guys know, when you're firing a bump stock, it is a push-pull action with 2 hands that are required. And you are essentially pulling with your right hand, your trigger finger. In the meantime, you're holding that trigger down. and you're pushing forward with that right hand. If you don't push forward with that right hand, you can pull this trigger one time or as many times as you want, but one time is going to give you one firing of a round. There's nothing else you can do. If you're not initiating that thing to work against its own recoil system, you are not going to get that second, third, fourth, fifth pull. It's not possible. It has to have that additional force in the opposite direction, or the bump fire is meaningless. The ATF is ignoring that fact and trying to make it look like it's the sequence of one trigger pull, and then you get continuous fire until you run out of ammo. That's not true. That is an outright lie. And that is a bureaucratic organization that has an ounce of knowledge trying to fool the idiots in Congress and everywhere else into thinking that they know what they're talking about. They're lying to the very people that give them the power to try to put these types of rules in place, because they know those people are stupid and will listen to them without questioning anything. Supreme Court apparently got some actual experts to view this and hit back with the ATF with way more knowledge and way more clarity than the ATF did. It goes on to say, moreover, ATF's position is logically inconsistent because its reasoning would also mean that a semi-automatic rifle, and this is a point I wish I would have made, this is genius. Its reasoning would also mean that a semi-automatic rifle without a bump stock is capable of firing more than one shot by a single function of the trigger. That was genius, because they're right. The ATF is stating that by using this type of device, it makes it a machine gun, and that the whole gun, the device itself, the bump stock, is the machine gun. And they're saying that, well, with that kind of logic, you wouldn't need a bump stock and you would still have a machine gun or a fully automatic gun with the pull of one trigger. They go on to state, yet ATF agrees that is not the case. ATF's argument is thus at odds with itself. So the ATF is disputing in court its own stupid, twisted logic by providing logic to answer a question that, well, no, every single semi-automatic with the pull of one trigger pull is not a machine gun. And then the Supreme Court is saying, well, then how are you saying that that's the case with a bump stock? Because you still can't make either one of them fire continuously with the pull of one trigger without that opposite force in the opposite direction. The ATF obviously debunked their own stupid story and their own stupid logic. And I'm sure there's somebody in Congress right now that's trying to put a law together, because now this gets kicked back to realizing that the ATF was trying to implement law in the form of rewording a ruling. So now Congress, look for this too. This has gone away as far as the ATF. The ATF is done with bump stocks. This is not going to come up again. If you have a bump stock, go use it. Show of hands of anybody who got rid of theirs or sawed it in 3 pieces or whatever the ATF was asking. Show of hands, any hands? I'm proud of you guys. So again, go back to my Congress point. This is likely going to come up in Congress because Congress realizes now that, oops, we got caught. We were using our boogeyman at the ATF to try to implement law because we were too lazy and irresponsible to try to implement law, and we did not want to be seen as anti-Second Amendment. So we did this with the hopes of it passing through and it wouldn't be challenged. It got challenged, it got beat down. So now you can get somebody. So now the responsibility is going to be back on the ATF, or excuse me, Congress, to implement ATF's unconstitutional rules, simply because the Supreme Court is not going to allow the ATF to make rules anymore, or excuse me, laws anymore that put lots of people in prison and charge hundreds of thousands of dollars for simply owning something that is clearly not a firearm in itself. Guys, I appreciate you following. Hopefully you'll follow me on all of my socials, because obviously I am banned from YouTube right now. So best way to follow me, and probably the safest way to follow me, is going to be on X right now. That's Paul_of_LAA. Again, Paul_of_LAA on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. That's the best place to catch me, because Elon Musk is not pulling any of my stuff. And even on my third account over there right now, since Elon has owned Twitter, now X, my account has not been banned, pushed back, deleted, paused. I haven't had any posts taken down. So I believe there's a lot more freedom of speech over on Twitter or X right now. And I'll be posting a lot more of my content over there. Thank you guys. Good seeing you all. And we will catch you next time. Enjoy your weekend.